tucked beneath the restless pulse of New Orleans, the Whispering Den hums like a well-kept secret. This isn't your average watering hole. It's a clandestine speakeasy buried under the French Quarter's cobblestone chaos, reachable only if you know the trick. Step into a dusty bookshop, nudge a rickety bookshelf aside, and a hidden door creaks open, spilling you down a dim staircase into a world apart. Inside, the vibe is a sultry collision of class and grit. Flickering sconces cast jagged shadows. Crimson drapes hang heavy like velvet curtains on a stage, and a soulful blues guitar riff curls through the air like smoke. The atmosphere's thick with bourbon fumes and a tease of jasmine, while a 12-foot chandelier drips crystals over lacquered tables, bathing the room in a glow that feels both luxurious and dangerous. This is a haunt for the city's elite. Sequined dresses sparkle, tailored vests strut, but it's got an edge that keeps you on your toes. The French Quarter pulses with its restless heartbeat as Keanu Reeves weaves through the late-night throng, a shadow among the neon-lit chaos. The air hums with the wail of a trumpet spilling from a Bourbon Street corner, where a grizzled busker sways, his hat brimming with crumpled dollar bills. Keanu pauses, his scuffed leather jacket catching the flicker of a gas lamp as he digs into his pocket. He drops a worn $5 bill into the hat. Not a flourish, just a quiet toss, his eyes lingering on the musician's weathered hands before moving on. His threadbare jeans, fraying at the hems like they've walked 1,000 miles, brush against a drunk tourist stumbling past. But Keanu sidesteps with a grace that belies his scruffy look. His worn-out sneakers squeak faintly against the uneven cobblestones, a soft protest against the city's clamor, as he nears a dusty bookshop tucked between a voodoo trinket stall and a buzzing bar. The sign above reads, "Closed," its paint peeling like an old secret. But Keanu's stride doesn't falter. He knows where he's going. Inside, the shop smells of mildew and forgotten pages, the kind of place where time stalls. He brushes past stacks of yellowed novels, his beat-up backpack, a relic more suited to a street performer than this den of decadence, swinging lightly from one shoulder. His fingers graze a rickety bookshelf, its wood groaning as he nudges it aside. A hidden door creaks open, exhaling a breath of bourbon and jasmine, and Keanu descends the dim staircase, each step deliberate, like he's walking into a memory. His mind flickers. A shadowed thought of another night, another door, another life he doesn't speak of. Not tonight, he tells himself, pushing it down, the weight of it settling in his chest like a stone. The tarnished silver ring on his finger glints faintly, cold against his thumb as he traces its edges. A ritual, a tether to something he's buried deep. What is it? A promise? A regret? Even he isn't sure anymore, but it steadies him as the speakeasy's glow swallows him whole. The Whispering Den unfurls before him, a sultry clash of grit and grandeur. All crimson drapes and chandelier gleam. Keanu slips in like a ghost, his low-key vibe a stark misfit among the sequined dresses and tailored vests strutting under the 12-foot crystal cascade. He knows he stands out, feels the eyes flicking toward him, sizing up the frayed hems and faded leather. But he doesn't care. Not tonight. He picks a shadowed table near the wall, its edges worn smooth by years of secrets, and sinks into the chair, his frame folding as if he could vanish into the woodwork. The room's swagger, a cocktail of bourbon fumes and blues riffs, presses against him, but he's an island, untouchable. His fingers toy with that ring again, tracing its dents and scratches, each one a silent story he's not ready to tell. There's something about him, quiet, unreadable, a riddle wrapped in denim, that jars against the den's polished bravado, and it's exactly why he's here. Keanu barely has a moment to settle into the shadowed nook of the Whispering Den, the bourbon haze still curling around him, when Elise Moreau locks onto him like a hawk spotting prey. She's a firecracker, sharp-tongued, her heart forged in steel from years of clawing her way up. and she doesn't miss a beat. Her heels strike the hardwood with a staccato click-clack that cuts through the soulful blues riff, a metronome of menace as she crosses the room. The crimson drapes sway slightly in her wake, as if bowing to her authority, and the flickering sconces cast jagged shadows across her sleek blazer. She plants herself square in front of Keanu's table, hands slamming down on the lacquered surface, hard enough to rattle the empty glass beside him. "What's this?" she snaps, her voice a whip cracking over the clink of cocktail glasses. "Crawl out of some bourbon street gutter, did you? This isn't your kind of joint, pal." Her words drip venom, loud enough to bounce off the 12-foot chandelier's crystals and turn every head in the speakeasy. The room stirs like a pot coming to a boil. A sequined blonde at the bar lets out a sharp, mocking laugh, her $15 old-fashioned sloshing as she nudges her date. A guy in a crisp vest who smirks into his drink, muttering, "Looks like the help wandered in." Across the floor, a trio of VIPs in tailored suits lean forward, their eyes glinting with amusement as they swirl their overpriced whiskeys. One, whispering, $10 says he's out in 5. The air thickens with bourbon fumes and judgment, the crowd's anticipation crackling like static. Elise straightens, her lips curling into a sneer that could cut glass, and snaps her fingers toward the bar. "Theo, get me a tab, $50 for breathing our air. Let's see if this stray can pay up." A hulking bouncer in a black shirt looms from the shadows, cracking his knuckles as he steps closer, his shadow stretching across Keanu's table like a threat. Keanu doesn't flinch. He meets her gaze, his eyes steady under the messy fringe of his hair, and offers a faint, lopsided grin, more amused than rattled, that only stokes Elise's fire. Soda's fine. Nothing fancy," he says, his voice a low, calm drawl that slides through the tension like a breeze through smoke. The crowd hushes for a split second, then erupts. Some gasp at his audacity. Others jeer louder. A woman in pearls shouting, "Oh, he's got nerve!" Elise's face twists, her fists clenching, as she leans in, her breath hot with fury. "You think this is a game, huh? Pay or get dragged out. I don't care who you are." The bouncer edges closer, the floor creaking under his weight, while the VIPs start a low chant. "Out! Out!" Their glasses raised like they're toasting her victory. Keanu's fingers brush that tarnished silver ring, unyielding, as the tension coils tighter than a spring. What happens next isn't just a twist. It's a seismic upheaval. A guy in faded denim poised to shatter this den of big shots and rewrite its rules from the ground up. So, where are you watching from? If you're hooked on tales where the underdog flips the script, smash that subscribe button. Tomorrow, we've got another jaw-dropper waiting. Can Keanu turn this glitzy hideout upside down? Stick around to see how it unfolds. Keanu Reeves hunkers down at a corner table near the bar, the kind of spot where the light barely reaches. He shrugs off his beat-up backpack, fishes out a dog-eared paperback with a cracked spine, and cracks it open like he's the only soul in the room. The whispering den buzzes around him. Patrons in sequined dresses and crisp vests shoot him sidelong glances, their eyebrows arched over the rims of their $15 old fashions. He doesn't flinch, just turns a page, lost in his own world. Meanwhile, Elise Moreau cuts through the crowd like a blade. She's all sleek blazer and heels that clack against the hardwood like a ticking clock, her presence screaming control. She's clawed her way up from nothing, a tough-as-nails survivor with a chip on her shoulder from a wealthy ex who ditched her with nothing but a bruised ego and a stack of bills. The den's her kingdom now, and she guards it like a fortress. Elise doesn't just manage the speakeasy, she polices it. To her, the Whispering Den is more than a bar. It's a bulwark against the chaos of her past, a place where only the right people belong. She's got no patience for anyone who doesn't fit the mold, and Keanu, with his scuffed leather jacket and faded jeans, might as well have a neon sign flashing outsider. She zeroes in on him, her lips curling as she plants herself at his table. "We don't pour drinks for guys who look like they're late for a backyard BBQ, she snaps, her voice sharp enough to slice through the blues guitar riff floating overhead. A couple of nearby patrons, fancy types swirling their overpriced cocktails, snicker into their glasses, egging her on. The air's thick with bourbon and judgment, and Elise stands there, arms crossed, daring him to push back. She's not just serving shade. She's drawing a line in the sand. Keanu doesn't bite. He glances up from his book, his eyes steady under the brim of his messy hair, and offers a faint, lopsided grin that's more amused than rattled. "A soda's fine. Nothing fancy," he says, his tone as calm as a summer breeze. It's the kind of response that should douse the tension, but it only fans Elise's flames. His cool-headedness, his refusal to rise to her bait, grates on her like sandpaper. She's used to people buckling under her glare, not shrugging it off like it's nothing. That tarnished silver ring on his finger glints as he flips another page, his thumb brushing it absently, and Elise narrows her eyes. Who does this guy think he is, waltzing into her turf and acting like he belongs? The snickers from the crowd fade, replaced by curious stares. Something's brewing here, and it's about to catch fire. Elise Moreau stands behind the bar, her silhouette framed by the crimson drapes swaying faintly in the Whispering Den's smoky haze. Her eyes glisten, misty under the chandelier's crystalline glow, the weight of the night pressing down like a storm cloud over the bayou. Her hands, usually steady, commanding, tremble as she reaches for a bottle of bourbon, the top-shelf stuff she'd once reserved for the Den's elite, not the cheap swill she'd sneered at in her leaner days. The amber liquid sloshes into a glass, catching the light in a dance of gold as she stares at it, her breath hitching. She slides it across the lacquered bar toward Keanu Reeves, her fingers lingering on the edge as if reluctant to let go. "I blew it," she whispers, her voice raw and frayed, barely audible over the blues riff curling through the air. "I thought I was guarding something, but I'll fix this." It's more than an apology. It's a fissure splitting through years of steel-plated armor, the grit she'd worn like a second skin peeling back to reveal the woman beneath. Her mind reels, a floodgate cracking open. She sees herself, a younger Elise shivering in a thin dress outside a ritzy bar on Canal Street, coins slipping through her fingers as a waiter's sneer echoed in her ears. "Not your kind of joint, sweetheart." That night, she'd vowed to build a fortress, to never be the stray again. Now, staring at Keanu, his scuffed jacket, his steady gaze, she feels that old shame clawing up her throat, mingling with something new. Recognition. "I didn't see it," she says, louder now, her voice trembling as she meets his eyes. I thought I had to keep this place pure. But it was me, wasn't it? Me all along." Her blazer feels heavy, a shield she no longer fits, and her heels wobble as she grips the bar for balance. Keanu watches her, his calm unshaken, a quiet anchor in the storm of her unraveling. He glances at the bourbon, then back at her, his lopsided grin softening the edges of his reply. "You were protecting something," he says, low and steady. "Just the wrong thing." With that same effortless grace, he slides the glass back across the bar, the scrape of it against the wood a soft rebuke. "Give it to the kid over there, my treat," he adds, nodding toward the college girl in the faded hoodie, still hunched in the shadows, nursing her soda like it's her last lifeline. Elise blinks, tears brimming as she follows his gaze. The girl looks up, startled, her eyes wide and unguarded, a mirror to the Elise she'd buried. Okay, Elise stammers, her voice breaking as she takes the glass, her hands steadier now with purpose. She steps around the bar, heels clicking softer, and sets it before the girl. "On him," she murmurs, forcing a shaky smile. The girl whispers a timid thanks, and Elise feels it, A pang deep in her chest, sharper than any lecture, as Theo nods in silent awe from behind the counter. Keanu's gesture cuts through her like a blade of grace, and she turns back to him, blinking back the flood. "I'll fix this," she repeats, a vow this time, her old self dissolving in the bourbon's glow. Keanu doesn't notice her glare at first. He settles in, his beat-up backpack hitting the floor with a soft thud, and reaches out to nudge a crooked bar lamp. It's a small fix, just a tweak to stop it wobbling, but Elise doesn't catch it, too busy eyeing his worn-out sneakers with a scowl. Theo, the young bartender, does though. Wiping down a glass with a rag, he tilts his head, catching the move with a flicker of curiosity. A kid barely out of his teens, Theo's got a mop of curls and a habit of noticing what others miss. He nods faintly at Keanu, like he's filing it away for later. Elise, meanwhile, storms closer, her voice already sharpening for a strike. That lamp tweak might have slipped her radar, but Keanu's presence hasn't, and she's ready to make sure he knows it. The Whispering Den's sultry hum gets a jolt when Sasha Quinn bursts through the hidden door. Fresh off a Country Music Awards win, the local star struts in, boots clicking, blonde curls bouncing, owning the room like it's her stage. Her eyes land on Keanu Reeves, slouched at his corner table in threadbare jeans and a scuffed jacket, and she freezes mid-step. "Keanu Reeves? In this hole? Get out of here," she belts out, half laughing, her twang cutting through the blues riff. Elise Moreau, arms crossed and lips tight, lets out a scoff that wavers just enough to betray her nerves. "He's just a hobo in jeans, darlin'," she fires back, her voice dripping with disdain. The room stirs, whispers ripple through the sequined crowd like wind over a still pond, heads turning to size up the guy who's suddenly the center of the storm. Theo, the young bartender with a mop of curls and a heart softer than he lets on, slides a soda across the bar to Keanu. "You don't strike me as a drifter," he mutters under his breath, flicking a wary glance at Elise. The VIPs split down the middle. Some snicker into their $15 cocktails, tossing jabs like, "Betty's here to bust tables," while others rally behind him. Lou, a grizzled regular with a voice like gravel, leans back in his chair and grunts, "Guy's got more spine than this whole crew." The air's electric now, crackling with divided loyalties, and Elise isn't having it. Her fortress feels breached, and she's itching to take back control. Steamed, Elise storms to the back, barking at Theo to pull up the security footage. "Let's nail this clown as trouble," she snaps, convinced she's about to expose Keanu as some low-life stirring chaos. The grainy screen flickers to life, and the room hushes as everyone cranes to see. But instead of a smoking gun, it shows Keanu earlier that night, quietly slipping a crumpled $20 bill to the bar. Theo zooms in, revealing the catch. It's payment for a broke college kid's drink. A girl in a faded hoodie, nursing a lone soda in the shadows, too shy to ask for help. The footage lingers on Keanu's subtle nod to her. No fanfare, just a quick, kind move. The den goes dead quiet. Elise's jaw tightens, Sasha's eyebrows shoot up, and Lou lets out a low whistle. Those whispers? They're gone. What's left is a room grappling with a truth they didn't see coming, and a man in faded denim who's just turned their world upside down. Keanu Reeves reaches for the soda. Theo slid his way, and as his sleeve rides up, a thin scar peeks out from under his cuff, a faint, jagged line that whispers of a life less ordinary. It's subtle, gone in a blink as he pulls the glass closer, but it lingers in the air, like a question mark. The Whispering Den still reeling from the security footage. Keanu's quiet $20 move for that college kid has the room buzzing, and Elise Moreau's icy glare can't freeze it out. Sasha Quinn, still gaping from her grand entrance, leans against the bar, her CMA swagger shaken. Theo wipes a glass, stealing glances at Keanu, his curiosity piqued but unspoken. The crowd's split, half mocking, half mesmerized, and the tension's thick enough to choke on. Lou, the grizzled regular, slouches at his table, nursing a bourbon and squinting at Keanu like he's cracking a code. He leans over to his buddy, a wiry guy in a faded cap, and mutters low, "I'd bet my truck he's richer than my boss." His pal snorts, swirling his drink, but doesn't argue. There's something about Keanu's calm, that scar, that doesn't add up to Drifter. The group dynamic shifts. The VIPs who'd sneered now fidget, their 15 old fashions forgotten, while others, like Lou, lean in, drawn to the mystery. Elise paces near the bar, her heels stabbing the floor, her fortress of exclusivity crumbling. That scar, the footage, Lou's gruff hunch. It's all piling up and the room's starting to see Keanu for more than his faded jeans. Whatever's brewing, it's not just a clash anymore. It's a reckoning, and Keanu's holding the reins. The Whispering Den's smoky haze thickens as Sasha Quinn drops a bombshell that cracks the room wide open. "He's not just famous, he dreamed up this place," she blurts, her country drawl trembling with disbelief as she stares at Keanu Reeves. The crowd gasps, heads whipping toward the guy in faded jeans nursing a soda. Before the whispers can settle, Ethan, the top manager, hustles through the hidden door, his tie slightly askew from rushing downstairs. He zeroes in on Keanu, voice steady but reverent. "Mr. Reeves founded the Whispering Den to be a refuge for all, not some highbrow club." The words hit like a thunderclap. Eyes widen, glasses freeze mid-sip, and the vibe flips. Those 15 old fashions suddenly feel petty in hands that mocked him. Sasha's jaw hangs loose. Theo blinks behind the bar, and even Lou's grizzled squint softens. The den's not just a speakeasy. It's Keanu's vision, and they've all been blind to it. Keanu rises from his corner seat, slow and deliberate, his scuffed jacket creaking as the room hushes. His voice comes low but firm, cutting through the bourbon fumes like a blade. "I don't flash a title for respect. This den's about lifting folks up, not kicking them down." He nods at Theo, who's still clutching a rag, wide-eyed. "He's got the memo. Some of y'all missed it." The words land like a slow burn, searing into the crowd. That thin scar peeking from his cuff glints under the chandelier's glow, a quiet testament to battles fought and lessons learned. It's not a sermon, it's a reckoning. The VIPs shift uncomfortably, their sequins dulling in the weight of his gaze, while Lou mutters a gruff, "damn right," to his pal. Elise Moreau's face drains of color, her fortress crumbling as Keanu's truth sinks in. Flashes of her own past hit hard. A fancy bar years ago, a snide waiter tossing her out when she couldn't pay, her dreams still raw from that sugar daddy betrayal. She stutters, her voice a fragile thread. "I was just guarding this place." Her heels falter, and her sharp blazer feels like armor she doesn't deserve. Ethan steps closer, his expression stern but not cruel, while Sasha watches, her CMA swagger muted. Theo slips Keanu another soda, a silent salute, and the room holds its breath. Elise's walls, built to keep strays out, mirror the ones Keanu's here to tear down. His lesson's clear. This den's heart beats for the overlooked, and she's just been schooled by the man who made it so. Keanu Reeves shifts in his seat, the air in the Whispering Den still heavy with his words. He reaches into his beat-up backpack, fingers brushing past that dog-eared paperback, and pulls out a creased photo. It's a faded shot of the den's opening night. Crimson drapes fresh, sconces newly lit. A younger Keanu standing by the bar with a quiet smile. He slides it across the lacquered table and pins it there with a calloused hand. A silent vow etched in the way he lingers over it. The room watches. Sasha Quinn's jaw tightens. Theo leans closer from behind the bar, and Lou squints like he's piecing together a puzzle. Ethan nods, recognizing the moment from years back. That photo's not just proof. It's Keanu tying his soul to this place, a refuge he built from nothing. Elise Moreau stares, her fingers trembling as she grips the edge of the bar. That photo cracks something open inside her. Beneath the sleek blazer and hardened grit, She sees her old self in Keanu, the girl who once stood on shaky legs in a fancy joint, rejected and raw, before she locked that vulnerability away under layers of steel and scorn. Her breath hitches. She'd spent years building walls to keep out strays, only to face the man who made this den for them. Her eyes flicker. Shame. Recognition. A flash of the past she'd buried. Keanu's steady gaze meets hers. Not accusing, just knowing. And it stings worse than any jab she'd thrown. The $15 old fashions sit untouched. The VIPs mute. Elise's fortress falters, her emotion bleeding through the cracks. And for once, she's not guarding, just feeling. Elise Moreau stands behind the bar, her eyes misty, the weight of the night pressing down. She grabs a bottle of bourbon, top-shelf stuff, not the cheap swill, and pours Keanu Reeves a glass with shaky hands. The amber liquid glints under the chandelier as she slides it toward him, her voice a raw whisper. "I blew it. I'll fix this." It's not just an apology. It's a crack in her armor, years of grit peeling back. Keanu looks at her, then at the glass, and with that same unshakable calm, he slides it back across the lacquered bar. "Give it to the kid over there. My treat," he says, nodding toward the college girl in the faded hoodie, still sipping her soda in the shadows. His quiet gesture cuts deeper than any lecture, a lesson in grace that leaves Elise blinking back tears, and Theo nodding in silent awe. The ripple hits hard. By the next night, the whispering den feels different. Its hidden door cracks wider, letting in a new vibe. Theo's behind the bar, greeting a guy in a beat-up Saints cap with a firm handshake and a grin. No judgment in sight. Elise watches from the sidelines, her usual scowl gone, her blazer less a shield now. She doesn't bat an eye as the guy orders a $5 beer instead of some overpriced cocktail. Sasha's still humming about it to Lou, who grunts approval over his bourbon, while Ethan oversees it all with a faint smile. Keanu's not there, but his mark is. His calm, his photo, his truth, shifting the den from a fortress into a refuge. Elise pours another drink, this time for herself, and takes a slow sip, tasting redemption. The whispering den's crimson drapes sway as a new night unfolds, and change hangs in the air. A dude in a worn work vest shuffles through the hidden door, his steel-toed boots scuffing the floor. He hesitates, eyes darting like he's expecting a bouncer to shove him out. Elise Moreau steps up, her blazer softer now, less a wall. She slides a menu across the bar with a faint smile. "First one's free. Welcome to the den." Her voice carries no edge, just a quiet invite, and the guy blinks, settling onto a stool as Theo pours him a cold one. Sasha Quinn, perched nearby, strums an imaginary guitar, grinning at the shift, while Lou nods over his bourbon, muttering, "About damn time." Ethan watches from the shadows, arms crossed, a flicker of pride in his gaze. The den's neon glow feels warmer now, its heart beating for more than just the glitzy elite. Keanu Reeves lingers a moment longer, his scuffed jacket blending into the dimness. He pulls a napkin from the bar, scribbles something with a stubby pencil, and leaves it behind like a whisper. Elise picks it up later, her fingers tracing the words. "Real worth ain't in the neon. It's in Sdiruv. Real worth ain't in the neon. It's in the dark you brighten." The notes, simple, messy, but it sticks with her, a parting wisdom that echoes his calm from that first night. As Keanu slips out, the den hums with new faces, work vests, hoodies, Saints caps, mixing with the sequins. Elise tucks the napkin into her pocket, her old self fading as she brightens the dark he meant. The speakeasy's alive, not just surviving, but thriving, because of one guy in faded jeans. The air in the whispering den still carries the faint hum of Keanu Reeves' quiet stand against Elise Moreau. A moment that didn't just stir the dust but reshaped the speakeasy's very bones. Hidden beneath New Orleans' French Quarter, behind a creaky bookshelf in a dusty bookshop, The den had been a shrine to snobbery, its 12-foot chandelier dripping crystals over lacquered tables, its crimson drapes framing a crowd of sequined dresses and $15 old-fashions. Elise had reigned over it like a gatekeeper, her sharp blazer and sharper words, a fortress built from the scars of a past betrayal. A rich ex who'd left her with nothing but pride and a vow to keep the strays out. Keanu, in his scuffed leather jacket and faded jeans, walked through that secret door and turned it all upside down. Their clash wasn't a petty dust-up. It was a wake-up call about pride, scars, and the grace of second chances. By the time the night faded, the den had shed its elitism, becoming a spot where anyone, a worker in steel-toed boots, a kid in a saint's cap, could grab a drink and feel seen, not sized up. It unfolded like a slow burn. Elise's venom. "We don't sling drinks for backyard BBQ strays," met Keanu's calm. "A soda's fine." His voice steady as the blues riff curling through the air. The room split. Mockers snickered. But Lou, grizzled and gruff, bet his truck Keanu was more than he seemed. Sasha Quinn, fresh off a CMA win, burst in and dropped the truth. "He's not just famous. He dreamed up this place." Ethan, the manager, nodded. "Mr. Reeves founded the den as a refuge for all." Keanu rose, his words cutting deep. "I don't flash a title for respect. This den's about lifting folks up." Elise, shaken, poured him a bourbon, whispering, "I'll fix this." But he slid it to a shy girl with a soda, his treat. That ripple grew. Theo shook hands with newcomers. Elise offered free beers, and the den's hidden door swung wider. Keanu's napkin scribble, "Real worth ain't in the neon, it's in the dark you brighten," became its pulse. The impact wasn't a facelift. It was a soul shift, a speakeasy reborn as a sanctuary. This isn't just about Keanu Reeves' fame lighting up the Whispering Den, or Elise Moreau's redemption, washing away her pride. It's a lesson that sinks deep into your marrow, a truth you feel in your bones long after the bourbon's faded. It's not about playing nice because of who someone is, their title, their bank account, their spotlight, but because of who you aim to be when the world isn't watching. Picture that moment you're stuck in line at a diner, the guy ahead of you in a patched jacket fumbling with loose change, and everyone's rolling their eyes. You could huff and check your phone, or you could slip the cashier a quiet $5 to cover his coffee, because that's the person you want to see in the mirror, not the one who walked past. True grit isn't in what you flash around, the designer threads hugging your frame, the fat wallet stuffed with crisp bills, the neon glow of a life curated for Instagram likes. It's in what you share when the lights dim, when no one's clapping, when it's just you and the shadows. Keanu didn't need to flex a Hollywood swagger to prove it. He showed it raw with a crumpled $20 bill slid across the bar for a stranger, a college kid in a hoodie who'd been counting pennies like they were her last lifeline. He pinned a creased photo of the den's opening night to the lacquered wood, not as a trophy, but as a quiet vow to the overlooked, the ones he'd built this place for. And that nod he gave her, it wasn't loud. It was a flicker of light in her dark, the kind you remember years later when you're doubting your worth. I think of my own scars. Times I've stood outside a party, hands in pockets, feeling like I didn't belong, until some stranger tossed me a smile that said, "You're enough." That's the grit Keanu carried, the kind that doesn't shout but shifts the air around it. Elise learned it the hard way, her pride peeling back like old paint under a summer sun, revealing a second shot at grace she'd never dared to claim. She'd buried her own wounds deep, tossed out of a ritzy bar on Bourbon Street years ago, her cheap heels slipping on the wet pavement as the bouncer laughed, leaving her invisible and broke. She'd locked that girl away, built walls of steel and scorn to keep the pain out, but Keanu's quiet unraveled her. He mirrored that lost Elise, the one who'd once prayed for a nod, a hand, anything to pull her from the gutter. The den became her mirror, too, its chandelier light spilling over flannel and sneakers now. Not just sequins, reflecting what happens when you trade judgment for heart. It's like that time you see a single mom at the gas station, juggling kids and a busted pump, and instead, you don't curse her out. You help her instead, because that's the world you're building, one small act at a time. That's the lesson here. Every choice to lift someone up, every crack you let show, shapes who you become, and maybe, just maybe, who they become too. But let's dig deeper, because this hits closer than you think. What did you do behind that secret door of yours? Slam it shut or fling it open for all? We've all got one, a threshold where we decide who's worthy, who gets in. Maybe it's the guy in a thrift store coat at your coffee shop, the single mom juggling kids at the grocery store, the quiet kid in class nobody talks to. Elise slammed hers, scared of her own wounds, until Keanu showed her the cost. He flung his wide, not with noise, but with a soda, a photo, a scribble, and it rewrote the rules. That's the first lesson. Every scar you carry, like that thin one peeking from Keanu's cuff, is a story. Slam the door on others, and you're slamming it on yourself. Open it, and you're not just letting them in. You're letting yourself out. The den's new heartbeat proves it. A worker in a vest shuffles in, and Elise slides him a menu. First one's free. Welcome to the den. Theo greets a guy in a Saints cap with a handshake, no side-eye, just a $5 beer. Lou grunts approval. Sasha hums a tune, and Ethan watches with quiet pride. The chandelier still glints, but its light falls on flannel and sneakers now, not just sequins. The air's warm, less guarded, a refuge shaped by Keanu's calm. That's the second lesson. Grace isn't loud. It's a $20 bill slipped quietly, a nod when no one's looking. It's not about fixing the world. It's about brightening one corner of it. Elise didn't need a lecture. She needed a mirror, and Keanu held it up. You've got that power too, in the smallest moves. Here's where it gets heavy, where it grabs your heart and twists. You've been Elise, building walls to feel safe, scared of being less than. You've been that kid with the soda, invisible, praying someone sees you. Keanu's not a hero in a cape. He's us, at our rawest, choosing kindness when it's easier to judge. His silver ring, tarnished and glinting, isn't just jewelry. It's every scar we wear, every wound we hide. The third lesson. Those scars don't make you weak. They make you real. Elise hid hers under grit. Keanu wore his like a quiet badge. The den's alive now because they met, pride and grace, and chose the latter. You're not defined by what broke you, but by what you mend with it. That worker sipping his beer, that girl who doesn't flinch at the bar, they're proof. And there's more, because this isn't just a story, it's a plea. The fourth lesson, every day's a secret door, and you're the keeper. Slam it, and you're safe but small. Fling it open, and you're raw but rich. Keanu didn't save the den. He woke it up, and it woke Elise. You've got that spark too. In the nod you give, the hand you extend. Next time you see someone who doesn't belong, the guy in beat-up sneakers at a fancy spot, the woman counting pennies for gas, toss him a nod. Not pity, not charity. Just a look that says, you're here, and that's enough. It might turn their day around, maybe their life. That's the call. Don't just hear this, live it. Brighten someone's dark, and you'll find your own light grows too. Keanu Reeves melts into the sultry embrace of New Orleans night, his silhouette dissolving down the uneven cobblestone streets of the French Quarter. The air hums with the distant wail of a trumpet, its mournful notes drifting from a shadowed corner where a busker leans against a peeling wall, coaxing life from brass. Gas lamps flicker along the row, their golden glow licking at the edges of wrought iron balconies draped in ivy, casting long, jagged shadows that dance with the breeze off the Mississippi. The faint scent of beignets wafts from a late-night cafe, mingling with the earthy tang of rain still clinging to the stones. Keanu's silver ring catches a lamp's light, a fleeting, defiant glint against the dark, a whisper of a story half told, etched in scars he wears like quiet badges. He's not gone. He's out there, a solitary figure threading through the city's pulse, the man who shifted a speakeasy's soul and left us with echoes of questions. Behind him, the whispering den hums, its secret door cracked wider now, spilling a warm glow onto the street, a heartbeat reborn for the strays he welcomed. Elise clutches that napkin, her fingers tracing his scribbled wisdom, while Theo pours another round, the clink of glasses a soft hymn to change. The city's rhythm rolls on, streetcars rumbling, laughter spilling from bars. But Keanu's step lingers, deliberate and slow. He pauses by a huddled figure, a kid in a tattered saint's cap, strumming a battered guitar for coins, and slips a crumpled bill from his pocket into the open case, his nod as subtle as the night itself. That act, small, yet seismic, ripples outward, a reminder that true worth isn't in the neon's glare, but in the dark, you brighten. So, what's it gonna be? Slam your door shut or fling it wide? That's his gift. A challenge, a chance, a heartbeat echoing through the quarter's haze. Before we go, a big thank you to every one of you tuning in. From New Orleans to New York, California to Kansas, wherever you're at. You're why we tell these stories, why we dig into the grit and grace that make us human. If this hit you, if it stirred something, hit that subscribe button. We've got more coming. Tomorrow at 12:30 p.m., we're dropping another tale that'll tug your heartstrings and lift your spirit. Don't miss it. Until then, keep your door open and keep brightening the dark. See you soon.